Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I want to talk about the integration between Dynamics 365 Business Central and SharePoint. So on your Business Central tenant, if you search extension marketplace and then you go to the app source, then you can search by the keyword SharePoint. Then you can see there are a few SharePoint connectors. So the one I installed on my tenant is the one called E Foqus. So that's just a search for the SharePoint connector and take a look at the introduction of this extension. So when you search SharePoint, then you could see the first extension you could see here is the E Foqus Canada Inc. Okay, if you click on this, then there's a brief introduction of this, what this extension does. So basically, it's like if you attach any document to the records in your Business Central, then it can be automatically generated to your SharePoint site with the table mapping you set up, the same structure in your SharePoint site. Okay, so since I already have this extension installed on my Business Central tenant, you could see if you go to extensions, then you could see the E Foqus SharePoint Connect. This SharePoint connector is installed on my Business Central tenant. So there's a few setup steps you can do for this connector to work. And basically, you can, when you go to the marketplace and go to that connector, and let's go to the marketplace again, then you can see on the introduction page for that SharePoint connector, it brings you to a help document. From that help document, you can see the basic steps for the setup, and you can just follow those steps to set it up. It's not difficult, but it will require you to have some administrator privilege on your Azure, because you need to go to your Azure tenant and to set up the app registration. So if you scroll down, so if you click on description and setup, it will bring you to a document. This document only 6 pages, and it tells you the steps for how to set it up. You can see it's only 6 pages. Okay, and so you can go through this document. Basically, I will describe how you can set it up. If you log into portal.azure.com, first you have to go to the app registration, and then you have to set up the SharePoint connector. And in the SharePoint connector you created in the app registration, you will generate the URL and the API key. And you have to set up the redirect URIs, but make sure you have to set up this. So because that SharePoint page, for it to integrate with the SharePoint, you have to use this specific page number. And this is your Business Central URL. So you have to set up this redirect URI on your SharePoint and make sure you have the owner permission set up and grant the SharePoint connector the owner permission. So after that, then you go to your Business Central, you go back to your Business Central, then you have to complete the setup. So since you already have the extension installed, you can go to the SharePoint setup. When the first time you go to this SharePoint setup, you have to set up the base URL. This is your SharePoint site you have to set up, and so this site name is not mandatory. You can leave it blank if you don't want to fill it in. And the client ID and client secret is the API key, API ID and the API key you found from the app registration in Azure. And then the callback URL, this is the same URL you set up for that redirect URI on the app registration on Azure. So the first time when you log in, you will see the connection status will be saying like not connected. Then what you have to do, you have to click on the connect. Then it will have a pop-up page, and the pop-up page will ask you to log in with your credentials, which has access to the SharePoint site. Then it will use that credential to authenticate with your Business Central. So after this is done, after the authentication is finished, then you could see this connection status change to connected to SharePoint. And the key steps for you to set up this integration is you have to set up the table mapping. So in the table mapping, there's a certain rules you have to follow. You can see that in this document, okay? And so what I set up right now is like I set up the customer table and sales header table integration with my SharePoint. So because I set it up this way, then you could see on the SharePoint. So if I go to our SharePoint, you could see because I already have it configured, and I have in my documents library, then you can see I have 2 folders set up here. So these 2 folders generated when first time you create a record for the customers or sales orders to upload to SharePoint. So after you set up this table mapping, what you can do is after you set this up, when you go to the customer card or sales order, you could see in the fact box, then you can see there's a SharePoint, except for the regular attachments and links and notes, those kind of things in the fact box. You see this attachment is the base Business Central. But this SharePoint, this tab is what added by your configuration for that SharePoint connector. So that's find the customer, this customer 20,000, and if you look at my SharePoint site, I currently do not have this customer document on my SharePoint site. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna upload a document for this customer, and I'm gonna choose from my local folder. And after I upload this file, it should appear under the SharePoint tab. Then you should see this document is attached. And then if you go to the SharePoint, then you could see this document is attached to this customer record 20,000. And if you go to your SharePoint site, then you could see this customer is just created under the customers folder with the customer name, and the bracket in the bracket is the customer number. If you click on this folder, then you could see the file I just uploaded appears on this under this folder. And if after this customer folder has been created, if you deleted that and then you are trying to upload from Business Central again, if you delete it from your SharePoint, so for example, if it's already created this try research 20,000 and the file I attached, if you delete the whole folder and then try to upload from Business Central again, then you will get some issue. I had this issue for the customer 10,000 because I uploaded one file previously and from my SharePoint, and I deleted that. Then once I upload from this tab again, so let's say if I want to upload the same document, then it just cannot upload anyhow, because I think somehow the SharePoint remember like if you uploaded before, and so make sure you do not, after you create a record from on your SharePoint, do not delete the record manually from the SharePoint. That could create an issue when you try to upload the file for that customer again on your business in your Business Central. Okay, so that's from the customer card. And let's say there's another setup. What you can do is the SharePoint document template. So let's say for the customer, you want to automatically generate. And if I created this, then under the customer record, if you click on the SharePoint and click on generate document, and it should generate the report. But sometimes you will find, oh, so for this one, it's good. It generated this customer report. The one I tried is the previous 10,000 record. As I said, if you ever deleted, you created record on SharePoint and you manually delete it on the SharePoint, and then if you try to upload any documents or generate documents again on that record, then it will not do it. So just make sure you do not manually delete from the SharePoint site after the folders has been created. So this one worked. And if I go back to my SharePoint and click on this folder and refresh, you see I have the customer order summary PDF generated as well. Okay, so this is working. And because I set up another table integration with my sales orders, then if you go to my sales orders and take a look, then you can also create attach a document for the sales orders. For the sales order, it does the same thing like the customer record, because on my SharePoint SharePoint mapping, I set up both the customer table, SharePoint table mapping. You could see I set up both the customer table and the sales header. So for my sales header, it will create a folder sales order table and a sales order for the sales orders, and then under the sales orders, it will create a folder for the sales order number and the customer number. You could see the structure is like this: the sales order number and customer number, and under this, then you could see the document you uploaded. Okay, so but right now you can see under my sales orders, I only have these 3 sales orders, and I can try with another sales order for you to take a look how it looks like. So it doesn't have, on my SharePoint side, it doesn't have that order 101213. So let's use this as an example, then upload the document, and we can choose the document. And when we choose the document, we select this one. And after it's uploaded, we can go to our SharePoint site to take a look if it created a record for this. Okay, so you could see it just created one for this sales order number, for this customer number on my SharePoint site, and with this uploaded document. Okay, so that's it. You have to understand how to set up the table mapping, and then there's some basic setup which require you to have the administrator privilege in order to set up the app registration in Azure. Okay, thank you so much for watching this YouTube video. I hope to see you guys again next time.